Okay, let's see. I have to make sure I have everything lined up so you can see what I'm doing. Oh, I know. I wanted to add another light. Let's see how well this works. Okay, does that help? We'll try it. Rather bright. Ooh, maybe turn it this way a little bit. There. I think that's a little better. Okay, now I want to welcome you. Thank you for coming. What I want to do is I'm going to show you a little bit for the next class I'm going to be doing in April. We're going to be doing 4 cards, and we're going to be using the birthday celebration suite. The paper I'm going to show you in a minute, and this is the stamp set, and it's got dies that give you numbers and a few other extra things so that you can personalize the cards, like the first birthday or the 21st birthday. And this is basically a set designed for making birthday cards. Now, what I've got here are a few cards included, and I'll show you in the paper in a minute. They have 2 sheets of die cuts, which the work is basically already done for you. And I don't know how well, maybe you can see it. I've got added some glitter to this, but anyway, it's a pretty straightforward card. I think it's just so charming, and that's one of them. And then this one is more of a fun fold. I liked it, and I again used one of those die cuts. Actually, I used 2 of them. Here's another die cut here, but it's meant to stand up for display. It's just make a wish. And then this one, again, make a wish and just doing candles. And it just turned out like a cute card. And then this one, the paper is so pretty. I just wanted to kind of highlight it. And then this one, I was having fun with the words. It's hooray, cake. So anyway, those are coming. The paper I wanted to show you, which is so pretty, it's got the gold foiling on it, but it also has the reverse side as well as subtle. But we have some with floral and the foiling, and then we have this. Whoops, I lost something here. Okay, move this. Okay, we have the striped, and then the backside has like little foliage in soft seafoam green. And then this is another page. It's got more leaves, and again, the gold foiling. The colors are so pretty. And then this is a page cut out for tags. And I'm getting a call. Let's see. Let's see, just in case. Oh, okay. This page is, hi. It's under Anita Dean.
Yeah, I know, but I find everything else, but not that one, the one that you're going to do today. So
Well,
let me.
I'm already on.
Okay, yes, Anita Dean. Okay, it's live.
Yeah.
Okay, you have different papers.
Yes, I am. I am.
Oh, now I see the Terrific Toadstool. Thank you, Emma. Thank you.
All right.
Okay. My granddaughter helped me.
Yeah, aren't they wonderful? Okay. So anyway, this is a page. It's meant to be cut out. You've got a section of tags here, and you have pieces that can be used in your cards. I've had a little bit of fun with this. They're also coordinating with you what you'll see later. Some of the die cut pieces, which is the next step down. Oh, and here's the back of these papers. Um, now this die cut, there's 2 sheets of it, and the die cuts are really very handy. There's one of the florals. Here's another one. We use on those 2 on our next class. And then there's a cake, and there's tassels, and all kind of fun stuff. Now I have put regular paper behind it to kind of hold them together because they want to come out. And then this paper is one with a whole bunch of cakes and then a very mild stripe there. I was looking at that the other day, and I'm thinking, that would make a really nice background for maybe a cake, like, well, something like that. Anyway, just ideas, they kind of pop in your head. But I wanted to show you the paper, and I wanted to show you the cards so that you had an idea of what I was working on for the coming class. I just think that this is a fun set because everyone needs birthday cards, and it just would go together very quickly for you. So that's just kind of a preview of our coming class. Now, today we're going to work with the Terrific Toadstools, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time. The first card that we're doing is this one here. I don't know if I can pick it up so you can see it, but there's Winka Stella on here. It's fun trying to catch. You can catch a little bit of it. I've got the butterfly outlined with it as well, but that's what we're going to do first for this card. And your set, let's get it up here. There we go. The set comes with a punch, and we'll be using that as well. It's just kind of a fun set to work with. I've made several cards using it. This is one of the first ones I made. Actually, this is the second one. I made one using something similar to this, but I liked the tree and the forest kind of scene, and using the paper, which I was able to get free from the celebration in February. But that's just to show you other possibilities. And then there is also, which is similar and probably was part of my motivation for the card that we're doing today. I participate in a group that does swap cards. And this is like a sampler swap card. And you can see the Winka Stella on the black background. I just like the black background because it made the colors pop. And then there's a little ladybug that's on here. Anyway, I thought it was really fun, and that's what I did. But I liked it so much that when it came to this card, I got an idea from someone else, but then I just realized, my gosh, the black just makes it pop. So we're going to start on this card, this right off the bat. And let me get organized here. What you have is you have a piece of cardstock, and it's already scored for you. This will be your card base. Now, what we're going to do, and what I do is I usually fold it because sometimes one side's just slightly bigger. In this case, this side is. So I wanted to determine which one was bigger. And then I'm going to take, move this over a little bit. I'm going to shield this. Okay. And I'm also going to pull that up a little bit too. That's scrap paper, as is the paper behind the grid paper here. And then I'm going to take the Winka Stella. Now, the Wink Stella, I know Stampin' Up! Used to carry it. I'm not sure what the current status is. Last few times I tried to order it, I wasn't able to. But it is a very, very fine glitter in a liquid medium. And you kind of shake it up. And there's a little push area here where you can push to kind of get the liquid down to the tip. Down to the tip. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm just taking, I'm taking my take a pick tool, but you can use a pen or whatever you have. And I'm going to kind of splatter. Now, you might not see results right away. They show up more after after they dry. But a lot of times what I would do is I would do this and then let it dry and come back and check it out. Now I can see, oh yeah, I can see the glitter there. And it's going to be more prominent, I think, as it dries. But what I'm doing is I'm adding some glitter here to make this card feel more magical. You know how they usually have magic sparkles when magic, and that's kind of what I'm doing here. And I put the papers behind it because when you're spattering, you don't have a lot of control as far as where it goes. Yeah, I've got enough there. But you want to make sure that you have your area covered. And that's why I did that. Okay, now we've got that going. And oh yeah, you can see it. See those sparkles? Isn't that fun? All right, now in your kit, we have this big die cut. And that's going to form kind of the frame around what we're doing. What we're going to do is we're going to glue this, and I'm going to use my bone folder to kind of give a good score on this so it stays better. Okay, what we're going to do now, when you have die cuts like this, if you feel the back, it's a little bit rougher. The front is smooth because when it cut down. So that helps you tell front from back. Sometimes it's a little confusing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, now this is, I'm using the regular Tombow glue, but I put it in a fine tip bottle. And I'm going to use that to put dots of glue on the back of my die cut. And what I do, I find it, easier. I think maybe you can see it. I'm putting little dots. The reason why is you don't want too much glue because when you move it around, it might smear and you end up with glue not where you want it. I'm focusing a lot on the frame around the edge, but I do a little bit on the inside. Now, the exception to that is when I get down here to the bottom, I'm only going to do the frame and maybe leaves close to the edge. The reason is because we are going to be tucking in the mushrooms we create, and we want to be able to tuck them under the leaves. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm just kind of going through and adding glue. Okay. This is where I want to start being more careful, not get too much in the way here. A little bit. Okay, let's get this guy going. I really like these precision tip bottles because I guess I'm attracted to some of the intricate dies. And there is another way of doing this, which I also tout, but because I'm being more specific as far as where I want to put this, I chose to do the little dots of precision glue. Now I'm going to take this carefully. Okay, I'm going to take this and I'm going to kind of center it on my card base, kind of even around all the edges. I'm going to press down. Already the card is beginning to form. Now, here we go. Okay, with the punch, I'll save that for later. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong directions. That won't work. Okay. Now, we're going to start creating the pieces that we're going to put on the front of the card. And here's where I'm going to show. Here we go. I'm going to show an example of another way I have of working with intricate stamps. What I have, is a butterfly that I die cut out of designer series paper. And then I have an intricate butterfly die cut with the design in it. And that I'm going to be putting on top. Now, if you have the beautiful butterfly set, they have a stamp that fits on this die cut perfectly if you prefer to use that. I didn't know who would have what, so I was being cautious. All right, and I'm going to add a little bit of glue that's on my silicone mat. And I'll use the silicone mat because the glue won't stick to it. In other words, when I'm done, it'll dry and I can just kind of peel it off. I'm taking a sponge and I'm just kind of dabbing it in the glue. And then I'm taking the back side. I can remember the smooth side is the front. The back side is rougher. And I'm going to take that and I'm using the sponge to just dab the glue on there. The reason why I like this is because by dabbing the glue like that, you're not going to have excess glue, which sometimes happens. And, let's see. Oop, up a little there. Just a little. Come on. Okay, I'm trying this light source to see if it works, but it seems like it's creating a shadow, so I'm not sure if that's the best or not. We're working on it. Okay, now, what then you can do, and I did this to kind of fill in the edges, is I added Wink Estella all along the edge to give it some additional sparkle. Now, the Wink Estella, if you aren't able to get it from Stampin' Up, I do believe they sell it like on Amazon and things like that. It's just kind of a fun product to have. It adds that little sparkly touch. I happen to like sparkle. Now, I'm going to share something else with you. This is a hint I recently learned. I'm going to get the rest of my stuff out of here too. Oh, come on. I've got a butterfly body in there. All right. Now this is a die cut from the beautiful butterfly set. Get it up here so you can see. It's the butterfly body. They have two sizes. They have the small one, which I have in my hand, and they have a larger one for the larger butterfly. Now this is the tip. Got to tilt this so you can see it. This was a backing for a sheet of dimensionals, and you can barely see it, but on it I put some dots of the Tombow glue, which I've just lost. Oh, I put it away. That's why. I put dots of the Tombow glue, and I let it dry. Now, Tombow glue is a glue that stays sticky when it's dry. Tacky glue dries clear and doesn't stay sticky. Um, so this only works like with the Tombow glue or glues like that. And it made small dots, which are considerably smaller than the mini glue dots that we have. You can see, I hope you can see there, how much bigger it is compared to the, I don't have enough fingers compared to the regular glue dots. You can see they're a lot, like at least double, if not more. And I'm going to take this butterfly body, and I'm going to take my Take a Tick tool, and I'm going to pick up one of these, and I'm going to put it right there on its top, and then one of them on the body. Okay, now we got 2 sticky glue dots. I don't know how well you can, yeah, you can see them good on the black. Okay, that works. And then I'm going to take them and I'm going to add them to this butterfly frame. Okay, there we go. Okay, so the butterflies put together for the front of the card. Now, also in the packet, all right, there's the other one. I am getting sticky all over the place. Okay. My fingers have glue. Okay. I have 2 die cut flowers. And like, I need to bring that out. Like the frame that we're using, the green die cut, the flowers also came from the Citrus Blooms set. This was kind of a, I guess I called it a Mediterranean themed with citrus, oranges and lemons and flowers. And I just hadn't used it, and I was looking for ideas, and somebody used a wreath, and I was going through looking, and lo and behold, here was a nice die cut to cut out the frame of leaves that we are using, and also the for the flowers. So that's what I did originally, was just stamped and die cut the flowers. Then I realized I can't stamp for you, so then I went ahead and die cut the flowers from the paper that came with the set. Okay, so we have a butterfly, and we have my sticky fingers all over the place, and we have the flowers, and also included were some die cut stars, or maybe they, yeah, die cut stars, also from that same set. You're not going to be able to see that. Okay, we're going to put them on the black. It won't disappear on the black. Come on, there's some little ones in here. Come on. So, I want a little one. I want a little one, a little one. Come on. All right. All right. And then we're going to work on the toadstools. Now, I got that ready. I'm using Melon Mambo. I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm using Melon Mambo. And because this is photopolymer, it can be stained, and red's really almost immediately stains it, but it doesn't stop the stamping ability. And what I'm going to do, because I want to create the 2 tops of the toadstools, I'm going to take this, and because it's photopolymer, it doesn't have the padding, so I'm going to use a pad as backing for this. I've done it both ways. It seems to work pretty well, but sometimes if you're having difficulty the pad might be the answer that you are seeking. Okay, and I stamp it and I let it have a chance to absorb. And then I'm going to take the other, which is the larger one, ink it up as well. And I'm going to stamp it down. And there you go. Now, move this out of the way. I'm very careful about ink pads because it's so easy. Now, this is the punch. This punch is designed. Now, you open it by pressing the button up, okay? But the punch is designed so that when you are cutting, it's designed, and I'm hoping I can hold this so you can see. It is designed so that when you finish your punching, once I get it lined up like I want it to be. Okay, when I get it close to where I want it to be, I'll put a little bit of pressure and hold it in place. Okay, and then when I'm happy, I just press the rest of the way. Now I use strips because why waste the paper? Because what's going to happen is, and you saw a little bit here, the other punch part will cut whatever is in its path. Okay, I'm looking at this and I'm trying to line it up again. Remember, when I'm lining it up, I get close and then I check it by putting a little pressure to hold it in place. And if it's where I want it, then I complete the pressing and die cut. Now, you'll notice that a little bit of the color remains on the paper because these are meant to die cut without a white border, which is a little different than most of them. And I'll get that out of the way. All right. Now we're working on the stems. And for the one stem, we have this punch here. And that's why I have this narrow strip. You don't need a big piece. And you can go ahead and punch it out. Now, we will have, a little later on, we'll be using this piece of strip again for a second card. So don't lose it. Hang on to it. And here is your stem for the one mushroom. For the other one, what we're going to do, and you have a choice here, but it depends on what colors that you have of stamp pads. And oh, there they are. I used crumb cake cardstock, which is what I've given you, and then I used this stamp from the set. I'll kind of hold it so you can see. And I stamped this on the crumb cake. That way it was more subtle as far as the coloring differences. But if you want, you could even do crumb cake on crumb cake. I think I had a sample here. Maybe not. Okay. We'll just clean this and show you. No problem, because I'm making a lot of these cards because they are so fun. Okay, here's crumb cake on crumb cake, just so you can see the difference. So basically the colors that you choose is up to you, up to what you have. But there you can see the difference between the two. The crumb cake is just a little more subtle. And for this one, we're going to fussy cut it out. And to save time, I went ahead and did one, so I had it ready to go. I'm just trying to keep the time within reason. And okay, I did it already. All right. There we are. Okay. So now we need to, in fact, I just put it away and I don't have to. I can use it. now we are going to attach the stem, and I'm using a regular glue dot here, and I'm just putting this stem is big enough that it'll handle the glue dot. And I'm going to put that here. All right. And then this one, because it is so small, in fact, it's so small, I just lost it. Where'd it go? Ah, okay. It's so small, I'm going to put a little tiny dot of glue there. And we're going to let it set for a minute. Okay. I'm going to be using that again in a second. Anyway, okay, saving these pieces. While we're stamping, if you have the set, I use the sentiment on this card because that was kind of the theme. You are magical. And get my pieces out of the way. Again, I'm using the Melon Mambo. Some of the names of the stamp sets, stamp colors, some cling to you more readily than others. And I kept wanting to say Mango Melody, but it's Melon Mambo. Okay, let's see how that turned out. Oh, that's fine. Okay, we're good. All right. Let's do a little cleaning while I'm out here. I like to clean as frequently as I can because the less loose ink from the stamp pads, the safer things are. I'm using a chamois that's damp, and then I'm going to use my scissors. I'm going to trim this about even with the other side so it's ready to go. Okay. All right, we are about ready to proceed. Okay, so let's do some placing. Now remember, I didn't glue the leaves down here, so that allows me to kind of tuck this in underneath. And I only put those up there because I wanted not to lose them. Okay, and then this one, I'm going to have going the opposite way. All right. What I'm doing now is I'm placing. I'm figuring out where I want things to be. And what I want is for these not to disappear. Okay, and then there is one. All right, and then they just want to disappear, don't they? All right, I had the flowers up here. There we go. All right. And then I did a little arrangement. Let's see, a star down here and a couple stars over here. Just kind of however you want to arrange them. Now, I do this before I start gluing down because I want to see the finished results. And if this was up too close, I might want to pull it down, you know, just depending on what you want to create. Now, this is the Take a Pick tool. And on the back end of the Take a Pick tool, and it's running amok right now, but there's a like a gummy substance, and that's designed to help pick up little things because let's face it, our fingers are kind of big. So I have the general idea of what I want to do. I'm going to add glue. And for the toadstools, I'm going to add glue at the bottom, but for the top, I'm going to put dimensionals. I want them kind of popping out. I don't want them flat. Okay. Now I put the dimensionals on there and I take off the protective covering. And then I'm going to tuck this in here. Come on. Okay, there's one. Let's get the other one going. A little bit of glue here. Oops, that was very generous. That's why I tend to use the fine tip bottle. Couple more dimensionals on the cap. Remove the protective covering. And tuck it in. Okay. Now we're going to use the, let's see. We're going to use those stars want to disappear, I'll tell you. Okay. I'm going to use a dab of glue. Again, too much. I'm going to have to stick with that fine tip bottle. This is just too much. If you get too much glue, what you can do is get a spare piece of, well, that's nice. I just lost the star. Luckily, I have an extra one. Okay. The white just disappears on the white background. Okay, this time I'm using the fine tip bottle. Okay. Oh, another thing, another tool I use when I'm working with smaller things is this reverse tweezer. It allows me to be able to place things where I want to see them. And this one, yeah, I want, yeah, okay. Fine tip bottle. The other glue container was being so very generous. I didn't want to be that generous. Okay, and then this one. Oh, come on. There we go. All right. And add the other flower. Now we're ready for this one. Okay, this one I picked up with a Take a Pick tool gummy end. I'm adding a dot of glue, and then I'm going to do the same thing here. Add another dot of glue. Got a little more than I wanted. Okay. Okay, and then the butterfly. Now the butterfly, I feel a little braver because I got a bigger area to cover. I'm just adding some glue. And then I'm going to bring it around and pop it down. And then this one, I'm going to add some dimensionals on because I want it to pop up. So I'm going to get my dimensionals. I think the standard size, yeah, will fit. Okay, remove the protective covering. line it up here. All right. Okay, Evelyn, I'm sorry. I just saw your question. How do you apply the Wink Estella? Was I able to show you well enough with using the hard surface of you can use a pen or piece of wood or whatever, and then you put in covers all the things. You take the Wink Estella and you tap it, and what happens is that little abrupt stop will send a spatter of the Wink of Stella on the card. If you can see it, it's there. It just adds like a magical touch. Now, I got a little bit extra glue on this card. I'll come back later with a glue eraser after it's fully dried, and I can remove that. What I'm going to do now, in your packet, I included, and there it is. See, white hides. I included a piece for the inside, but I'm not going to stop and do that right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my inside. Now, I'd made this into a thank you card, but what I did was I used the stamps in the set to create the image. Like I used the little mound here to create a mound of grass, and then I used this little tiny stem here because I wanted shorter mushrooms, and I used a smaller mushroom cap on that. Now, I wanted to tell you a trick that I use all the time. When I'm not sure of how I wanted to do something, I will take a regular sheet of paper. I use scratch paper all the time. This is, something else that I had, and I'm just using the backside so I can see what I'm doing. And I'll use it and I'll experiment. Like in this case, I started, well, do I want it off to the side? And then I decided, not really. And I didn't like the brown color. I wanted more color. So then I tried this and I liked this better, which is ultimately what I did in the finished card. But it gives you a chance to practice your idea and decide, do I like that or do I not like that? Or what about if I did this instead? And then you can look at the results and decide, okay, what do I like better, and go with it. I find this really handy. I also like the fact that I'm using paper that would have otherwise just been tossed away. So I just really, it's a technique that I use a lot when I'm figuring things out. So that's what you'll do for the inside, is you'll determine what you want to stamp on the inside and decorate it however you wish. Now, we'll have a card a little bit later that we're going to decorate, but I wanted to show you the basics of this one, especially the pretty Wink Estella sparkles. Okay, now that's card number 1, and we're going to move on because I want to make sure you have a chance to learn this next card. It's a slider card, and slider cards are fun. They're a little different, and they have, I'm trying to keep all my pieces together so I don't lose them. They have many ways you can use them. I can't show you all the different ways because I make them up and then I tend to send them out. Okay, this is the slider card. And what's fun about it is that the greeting is pulled up. Excuse me. I've used this for birthday cards, and I put some money inside and tucked in and kind of attached so it would come up when the card slid up. And you can put your greeting in there too. Now, this is similar to a card that we were going to do back probably around October, and you missed out on that one. Again, this is the paper that we got for free that goes with a Terrific Toadstool set. I chose this paper because with the stripes already in it, you don't even notice where I cut the paper and the cardstock to allow for the sliding. You know, it's just kind of a fun thing. So let's get the stuff out. I'm just kind of picking up my area a little bit so I can find my stuff when I'm ready for it. Okay. In your kit, this is the piece that you'll be using for the slider. This is some tear tape that we're going to be using not only for the closing of this, but also to attach the slider mechanism. So you're going to use part of it for the card base and part of it for the slider. Now, when I cut this paper, and I think I have it over here. Yeah. When I cut this paper, I had a strip left over. And I took that strip, and out of it, I cut the circle, which I ended up using in my design. It was a subtle enough design on the paper that the mushroom would still stand out. So whenever you can, I try to use all the parts and pieces. On the slider card, okay, you have a score line there, and then you have this flap. I'm using the bone folder because I want a good crease. But what's going to happen is you're using this flap, and you're going to put the tear tape on the side of the flap, and we'll be closing it up, but not until we're ready. I just wanted to go ahead and crease this so you knew exactly what pieces were where. What we're going to do is we're going to take this designer series paper and we're going to apply it to the front of the card. Now, one of the things I really enjoy about the Stampin' Up! Products is that they have this color coordination. It makes it so easy to make your cards look good. Okay, I'm placing this on here. I'm kind of balancing it so that the edges are all kind of even. Now, the idea behind the liquid glue, at least for me, is it allows me to kind of maneuver if things aren't quite right. I have a few seconds in which I can maneuver. And then I can take maybe a weight. Sometimes I'll use a tile, some kind of weight to hold things down for a few minutes just to let it set. While that's doing its thing, we're going to go ahead and bring out from the kit, you've got the ribbon, you got strips. Now this piece, okay, this is going to, let's see. This is going to be for the mushroom cap. Come on out. Okay. Oh, I got. Okay. I also included some sequins in this kit for embellishment. This is going to be for the sentiment, which will go on the front of the card. And this is a circle, which is going to be the slider piece. But while we're waiting for that to dry, which is probably dry by now because I talked so much, I'm going to add in some glue. Glue this together. Okay. Center it. Okay. Going to let that dry for a minute. And then I'm going to take this piece. Remember what we did before is we stamped it. And this is a smaller mushroom cap. So Melon Mambo, it's such a bright, cheerful color. Anyway, going to stamp like we did before. And then we are going to punch it out. Let's see, while we're doing that, we might as well do the sentiment as well. And I didn't have that mounted. All right, let's get that. All right, popping up. What I didn't mention, and this isn't as crucial because it's not a real thin sentiment, but a lot of times you want to set your, especially if they're longer, sentiment down to relax so it's in its right position, and then pick it up with your block. Now for this one, we're going to use this piece here. Now the advantage, again, of the photopolymer is that you can see through it. And I can look at it and I can, okay, do I like how that is? And I set it down and I make sure I have good contact. And then we have our sentiment ready to go. And then I'm going to, all right, there they are. Clean the sense. All right, now for the mushroom, we need a stem. And that's where this comes in. Now, when I first did this, I took the time. They do have a stamp where you can stamp the stem, but I realize unless you have an unusual color or don't have a cardstock that color that you want, I realize it's just as easy to take colored cardstock and cut the stem from the colored cardstock. You know, matter of preference. So let me move this out of the way. And we have this. Oh, need this. We're going to punch this out. Remember what I showed you before. Okay, I'm lining this up. And when I get close to where I think I want to be, I apply a little bit of pressure until I get it where I want it to be and try not to bump it. Oop. Okay, and punch. And there we are. Okay, so this one, I'm going to add just a little tiny bit of glue. And the end, remember the rough side is the back side. I'm going to just add a little bit of glue. There we go. And give it some time to set up. All right. Now, while that is setting, that's the sentiment's done. All right. Uh-oh. I lost, there it is, my circle. My circle, the sentiment. Okay. It's now time to focus on, and I'm going to move these over. Focus on the cutting of the slit. I want to be very careful in explaining this to you. Now this is going to be the top of the card. The flap is over here. This is going to be the top. With this particular paper, I guess it really wouldn't matter too terribly much, but just so that we're all on the same page, I'm saying this is going to be the top. Now, what I'm going to do, and let's see if I can. Okay. And I am looking at, oop, I don't want to lose those. Those are the embellishments. Okay. Okay, so I'm open the card base. Now I've turned it upside down. And with the flap open, I'm moving it to the 1.5 inch mark on my cutter. And then I'm also, and this is where it gets tricky, I'm also going to move this. On the side, there's a measurement, and I'm taking it to the 1 inch mark. And this center section here will point to the 1 inch mark. And that's where I'm going to lower it to start my cut. Now I want to stop my cut at the 4.5 inch mark. So pay attention now. I'm cutting, and I'm cutting down to the 4.5 inch mark. Okay, and then I'm going back up again to the 1 inch mark. And then I'm going back down again to the 4.5 inch mark. I do that to make sure the cut is really clean so that you'll have smooth sliding. Okay, look, you can't see the slit because of the pattern. The paper hides it nicely. Okay. Wrong way. Okay. I hope I'm not going too fast. I'm glad you found the answer, Evelyn. Okay, so all right, somewhere there it is. Slider mechanism. Okay, now what I'm, oh, there it is. There's my slider mechanism. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, and I have it here somewhere because I got it out on purpose. There it is. We are going to need a notch. And in this case, I did it on both sides, but I'm doing it one side at a time. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, this is a 2-inch circle punch. I don't know what you might have available at home. You can use, it doesn't have to be 2-inch circle. You just basically need a notch. If you have circle dies, you can use those. I'm using the punch because it's handy. And what's going to happen? Okay, this, remember, is on the right-hand side. This is the top. So I'm going to take this punch and I'm going to center it. And I'm going down maybe a little bit over 1/4 inch. You know, not very far. And I'm going to punch it. And then I'm going to take and fold the back in so you can see where the punch is. And the reason why I'm doing it 2 times instead of just 1 time is because if you have problems like with arthritis in your hands, it's easier to cut them 1 at a time than try and cut through 2 thicknesses. Okay, then we have our punches done. We need this so that when we put the slider in, you can still grab it. Now, in this case, I'm using a punch, which, oh, there it is. I'm going to punch a hole. Now, You don't have to use a punch. I have in the past used my take a pick and a foam mat and poked a hole in. You can do that. It'll work. I'm just using a punch today. I'm going to go down a little bit, and I want to kind of center it, but I also want to leave some space because this is a little bit bigger. I'm kind of looking, I want to leave some space. Okay, center, punch, there. So you have a little bit of strength there on the top. That's just so it's ready. Okay, now time for the tear tape. What you're going to do, and I had to think on this one because it comes in a roll. And I thought, how am I going to give them some tear tape if they don't have it? And I had to actually use the paper that came with the red rubber stamps that they put the labels for the stamps on. When I tried it on a piece of acrylic, that tear tape stuck and I wasn't going to get it off. So this is what creative thinking will get you. You've got your tear tape on a piece that will allow you to pull it off. And then what I'm doing is I'm just going to kind of measure how much I need. I'm going to bring this a little closer to me. And you're going to put, actually you're going to put the tear tape closer to the edge of the score line. And I need more light. My light's fading. Okay. And then my other light, it makes the shadows sharper, but sometimes I need the extra light so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, I'm lining this up next to the score line. And let me tell you, this tear tape is sticky. All right, so I'm lining it up, and then I'm doing it down here. Okay, and I tear it off. That's just what the name implies. You tear it off. It allows you to tear it. Some things will fight you more. Okay, now I'm not taking the protective coating off. I am burnishing it to make sure it's nice and solid. Okay, and then now we're going to work on the mechanism. There's a slit in there. You just can't see it. What we're going to do is we're taking the slider mechanism and we're slipping it in that slit. Okay, and we're slipping it in far enough that it has about the width of a dimensional left showing on the front. Okay, you can see it's inside. And then I'm going to take a dimensional. Once I find where I put my dimensionals, there they are. Ever do that when you're trying to work and you've got stuff out and you're using it, and then all of a sudden you need it again and you can't find it? It happens to me all the time. Okay, I'm putting the dimensional there. All right. And then I'm going to put the remaining tear tape on this side, but I'm not taking the protective coating off yet. Okay. Now, let's move this away. We have our circle. We have our sentiment. And somewhere, there it is, we have our mushroom. Now what we're going to do is we are going to be positioning. Now I have the slider mechanism all the way down. And what I'm going to do, come on. Okay. I am going to position things on here. Okay, now this is going to be attached to the slider mechanism. So it's going to go up and down. And the mushroom. All right. How do I want that? All right, let's go more like this. Okay, I'm going to want the mushroom to pop up a little. And again, I'm going to have the stem flat. So I like where this is. I made sure that it's even. Okay. I'm going to take and release the protective covering. I'm going to add, now the thing about this is it doesn't have a pattern per se that you need to worry about as far as whether it's going sideways or what. It's a general pattern. So you're safe there. And then the mushroom I'm going to prepare with the dimensionals. And then I'm going to add glue, but I'm going to figure out where I'm putting the glue for the sentiment first. Okay, so that's about where I want it. So I'm going to add some glue. Now the thing about it, the glue is strong, so you don't need a whole lot, especially if it's coming out generously like my fresh glue is. Okay. All right. And then we're going to add, I'm going to use the fine one because I don't want too much glue. Apparently I have still sticky fingers. I'm glad I hadn't pulled the cover off of that yet. Okay. I'm removing the protective cover from the dimensionals. And then I'm going to place it on here. Okay. Now, let's see. We want it to be able to slide up and down. That's good. Okay, now, before we add this, we want to stamp our sentiment. Let's see, what did I use the last time? So lucky to call you friend. I wonder where I got that one. Oh, let's see. Well, if you don't know what sentiment you want to use, this one can slide up and you can stamp it after the fact. Let's see. Here's a sentiment I'm pulling from another set that I like. Your friendship is the best gift. Well, here we go. Okay. Now, I'm going to move. I'm using my Stamparatus, which is a tool I'm very fond of, which Stampin' used to sell, but they've discontinued it because of some legal challenges, I guess. And rather than deal with that, they're just avoiding it. They're just saying, okay, and you want to be that way, we'll back off. We don't need to worry about it. But they do sell positioning tools of other sorts. I happen to be very fond of the Stamparatus. I felt like it had a lot of advantages from the others that I've seen. Okay, now what I did was I put my slider piece in here, and then I put the stamp I chose in and lined it up with the paper as best I could. But as a precaution, I am going to ink up the stamp, bring it over, stamp it down onto the grid, take a look, and it's pretty darn straight. Okay, I'm happy with it. So then I put this back in, ink it up again, stamp it. Sometimes it's good to add a little bit of pressure. And there we go. Okay, now we can add that later. Okay, now we're ready to insert the slider. The trick of it is you want it straight. Okay, and then we're going to remove the protective coating from the tear tape. Then we're going to take this and we are going to line it up. Let's see, I want to make sure this stays straight. For heaven's sake, stay straight. Whatever you do, stay straight. Behave yourself. Okay, I'm going to line it up with the top of the card base and even between the two score lines. And once that's done, you can set it down and then burnish it to make sure you have good adhesion. Now, one more time, we're going to go try it out. Oops, sorry. Try it out. Make sure it slides properly. And then you are ready to do the sealing of the card. We are almost done here. So I have fingernails. If you have difficulty getting the tape off, again, the Take a Pick tool works really well. Okay, I've got this closed. I'm going to close it now. And then we're going to work on the ribbon. And the ribbon. I guess we can just do the one side. Okay, I've got the ribbon, at least mine is cut at the point. I tried to do it for everyone. Try the point again. Okay, and then we just pull this through. Okay, now we have the ribbon. And then we're just going to trim it. And I have ribbon scissors. I tie a piece of ribbon to it to remind me these are my ribbon scissors, because when you're cutting ribbon, you do want to cut easily and not have it fight you. Now this extra pieces, you can save them. And if you have another sentiment, maybe you can just add it like that to the other sentiment. It's a decorative thing. I try to use my pieces. If I want edges, I can go like, I think I want this way. And that one, go that way. There we go. All right. Now we are ready. There's your card, except we're going to embellish. Now I don't always put embellishments on, but I do enjoy them. I'm going to add one here to the sentiment. And I'm going to add some where the mushroom is. Just add a little sparkle. Okay, now I think this one rotated a little bit on me. May need to adjust that a bit, but Anyway, there's your card. Sorry, there's your card ready to go and greet someone. Okay, that was the most difficult card. The next card is really pretty simple. But I especially like it because, oh, one more thing I just saw. When you're working with a slider card, you may want to decorate the front panel, but you have to be careful that you don't have things that block your slide. So adding die cuts and stuff might cause a problem. In this case, we're just going to stamp the decoration. I chose the little leaf pattern here. I'm going to grab a block and Granny Apple green ink. I'm just going to stamp in the corners, and the stamping won't interfere with the slider. And then I'm going to move this up and add some more down here. And there we go. Now you can choose what decorations you want to do depending on who you're giving it to. I use that quite frequently as inspiration for what I do. But as a general rule, we have now our slider card ready to go. Okay. The last time I did one of these, I think I made a rocket ship going up. And that's where I hid the money down below, was for a grandkid. Okay, now, next one. Let's put some things away. All right. Just kind of cleaning up a little bit helps to be able to find your stuff because you know where it is. Okay, now this next one is a little different, but it's one I particularly like because what happens is, you see this paper here? That's the other side of it. You get to see both sides of the designer series paper. And sometimes with the paper, it's just so pretty. You hate to hide the other pretty side. And this is one that kind of eases my heart when you can see both sides. Now, what I did, and let me get my instructions out so I follow it a little more closely. What I did is I took and gave you a full sheet, 6x6 sheet. And this one you are going to be cutting. Call it practice, but it's a little on the tricky side. So first you're going to take, let me get my cutter out. Okay. Move the pieces that we don't need right now. Okay. Now, all right, we have the paper, which is why you ended up with a bigger envelope. It would hold the 6x6 paper. Okay, so you've got your 6x6 paper, and we need to cut it down to 5.5 inches across either the top or the bottom. I'll let you look and see which part you want to cut. I'm going to cut mine from the bottom. So I'm lining it up here, and I'm going to line it up on the 5.5 inch mark. here. All right. And then I'm going to just bring this down. Now, I have that part done. The rest of this is all going to be used on the card. And what we're going to do is we're going to score this at 3 inches, which happens to be the halfway mark, 3 inches. Now, when you're scoring designer series paper, you need to be gentler, because if you press too hard, you could basically cut the paper. With cardstock, you can be firmer, but with this, you have to be a little more gentle. Okay, so we scored it at 3, and then I'm going to move it over a 1/2 inch, and I'm going to cut it. Now we have 2 pieces, one of which is scored. Okay, now we're ready to proceed with the card. Okay, make sure I have all my parts and pieces here. All right, I think that's all. Yeah. Okay. Now, we need to be creating mushrooms, and we're going to create a sentiment as well. And we also have the circle with a larger circle beyond it. Now, for these circles, I have this older set, it's retired, of circles. One side is kind of scalloped, the other is plain. And I use them to create the circle because I like the size of it. Now, when you're doing this for yourself, you might have a punch that's large enough for what you want, or there are other circle dies that are out there that you can use. I just used what I had. I buy sets like this on purpose because I can go back and use them because of the various sizes to help me line things up. Right now, I don't know if it's available yet, but it's coming available. They have a rectangular set that has a whole bunch of different sizes, but they also have, like the Spotlight on Nature dies, have decorated edges. I haven't gotten that one yet, but I'm thinking it would be worthwhile getting, because a lot of times, depending on what sentiment you're using, you may need that size, just so it's not plain, if you will. In this case, we're going to be using a piece that is plain, but I'm going to show you another little trick on decorating it up. So, going back to what we have. What we're going to do is we are going to take and put these 2 circles together so they're ready when we're ready for them. Okay, and then we're going to take and do the stamping again for the mushrooms. A small one, and then the bigger one. Now, I left these strips bigger than you actually needed just to make it easier using the punch. All right, and then we had those pieces. Okay, I'm going to use this again for the stem. When I punch. Okay. Oh, let's get this glue. Let's get the ink safely put away. Okay. Okay, sorry I had to leave, Evelyn, but I understand. It is recorded, so you can pick up where you left off. I'm punching this out, punching a stem, and then I am punching these mushroom caps. Not quite. There's one. There's the other. Again, we're going to be gluing the stem on. Just a little tiny bit of glue. And then on this one, we're going to do a little bit of fussy cutting. Let's cover the glue up. Okay, over the edge, and down we go. Now, some people really enjoy fussy cutting. They find it soothing, sort of like coloring. I do what I need to do, but it's not something I actively seek out. Okay. And then I'm going to use a glue dot for this one. Okay, now we have our 2 mushrooms ready. And then we're taking, this is the card base, and we're going to take, and we are going to, I think it'd be faster to do it this way. This will be glued to the card base here. Okay, and that becomes the front of the card. And then right here, we're adding a strip to extend this just a little bit. It also strengthens the edges a bit. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to take, again with my fine tip bottle, and I'm going to put a little bit of glue right along the edge here. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to line it up. Let's see, the shadow is giving me a hard time. Try it this way. I want to see the edge. I want about maybe 1/8 of an inch or so showing. No. Come on. Back up. Back up a little bit. Whoop, too far. There we go. Okay. We have that edge there. Now I'm going to add glue to this. I could do tear tape. I'm very tempted to do tear tape. I think I'll do tear tape. You don't have to do tear tape. You can use glue. Oh, I know. Tape runner. Tape runner will do it. Okay. Okay, lining that up on there. Make sure we've got it in the right position. Sometimes it's easier just to fold it in the first place and do it that way. There we go. Okay. And then for this other piece, it's going to go right here. Now that leaves a gap, but we're going to be covering that over. I'm just going to use glue for this. All right. And then I'm going to add this on nice and even with the card base. And that leaves this gap. Now what we're going to do with that gap is what this piece of paper is about. Now, because the sentiment I'm using on the front is just going to say, popping up to say hi, I'm going to consider this like a note card, which means that you don't really have to have a sentiment on the inside. You just have room for your message or note. So what I did in this case was I made a little scene. And for that scene, I used a couple stamps. I used granny apple green and the leafy bit. And then I did another piece over this way. That's second generational stamping. And then I'm going to do some over here. And I'm going to add some over here, just to add a little bit of fullness to it. And then I'm going to, let's see, get some more stamps in here. We're playing with all the stamps in our kit. So let me grab another couple stamps. Okay. So boy, that one was really stuck down there. Okay. Here you are. And this one right here. And then I'm just going to simply take and add the mushrooms there, the stems. And then I used pecan pie for that particular stem. And then I'm going to use melon mambo for the mushroom caps. And you have to study it for a minute, make sure you know which way they're going. And because you can see, it helps you place where they need to be. There. So we have this decorated. And then we are going to just simply add it to the center of our card. Again, I'm using liquid glue. It helps me with positioning. I guess you could say it gives me more confidence. My eyes aren't always the best, so it gives me a chance to adjust when needed. Okay. And then I'm just moving this in position, making sure it's right along the edge of the score. Not blocking it, just right along the edge. And we are ready to start on the front. All right, now I promised to show you a trick, and I'm going to do that now. First, we're going to stamp the sentiment, and then we are going to show you the trick. Okay, again, polymer photocolor allows you to see what you're doing straight down. Give it a chance to absorb. Up we go. And then, okay, where are you hiding? Right down here. Okay. Now, I used Granny Apple Green cardstock. So the two main colors are the Melon Mambo and then the Granny Apple Green. What's going to happen is I want the Granny Apple Green outline to this stamp, but I don't want a big outline because I don't want to cover everything up if I can avoid it. So what I'm doing, and this is something you can do, is I'm taking the sentiment and I am placing it on the stamp pad and putting a bit of the ink on the edges. It doesn't take much, but it gives you that outline so that it doesn't get lost. You can see it on the white paper, in other words. So, simple thing, works great. Especially if you just have straight edges. A little more difficult in circles. Now I'm going to take and I'm going to line this up. Figure out how I want to position it on the card. I mostly want to have, okay, there. Now I'm going to do the same thing as I've done before. I'm going to use glue for the base the stem. And again, I keep running into putting too much glue there. And I'm going to use dimensionals on the cap. Now, one of these days, I hope to be in a position where I can have this adjust down more readily for you to see the details. But for right now, this is what I've got to work with. We're working that direction. All right, now we're going to take this and we're going to show that there. And we're going to take this, remove the protective covering. Okay, put that there. And then this one is going to go down here, but I'm also going to want to put that up on dimensionals as well. Make sure it's right side up. Okay. Okay, like it. Now, we want to put it here. We want it to overlap a little bit, but we don't want to exceed the edge. So you can mark it in various ways. I just kind of eyeball it, and I don't go too extreme as far as adding the glue. We don't want to glue the card shut. Okay. And that allows me to have that there. And then we have our card. We're all done. Except if you want to add embellishments, you certainly can. This is a sweet little card. And it can fill in for those situations where they don't fit the normal thing like birthday or anniversary or get well or, you know, well, you could use this for get well, popping up to say hi, get well soon. Okay. Anyway, those are the cards from today. Let me get them all out here again. Okay. We have our magical card. We have our show both sides of the paper, Designer Series paper card. And we have our slider card. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you're able to put it into practice. I'm doing these videos because sometimes people don't have time to buy the kit or, you know, do it, but I'm trying to show you enough that you can use some of the tips that I've used in the creation of the cards on the cards that you make. I've learned so much from so many other demonstrators, and card making has given me so much joy that I want to share that joy with others. I know the way the world's going these days, we all could use a little extra joy. So I do hope you enjoyed this, and I hope to see you or hear from you again. Let me know, sharing or thumbs up or things like that is helpful for me to be able to reach more people in sharing the joy. And I hope you have a good time. See you next month. And that's it for today. Bye. Let's see if I can remember how to end. Oh, here it is.